VortiX and LucifroN against each other. We're jumping into game number 1 on Dry Arabia. LucifroN is going to be in command of the Delhi, and on the other side, VortiX will have the Ottomans to start this best of 7 with.
Definitely going to be an interesting one, because for a long time, this was up until this most recent patch, it was very much considered that Ottomans was a big counter to Delhi. This is kind of before all the Tower of Victory came into play, with scholars being a bit cheaper and just better build orders available. But nowadays, it's very much considered kind of up in the air. Like, I might still give Ottomans a little bit of an edge, just given the meta and how strong it is. But the meta, it can be 15% attack speed, or, you know, the 1 range armor, the 2 melee armor. But the fact that the Tower of Victory is now in play, yeah, it definitely evens things out a lot. Even though I say I like it for Ottomans still, if you're a player like LucifroN, in fact, is it LucifroN that's Delhi?
We'll have to double check on that, but yeah, LucifroN is the Delhi player, and VortiX is the one playing Ottomans.
Okay, that's kind of interesting to me. I always felt that VortiX was more of the Delhi guy on a map like this. But yeah, we'll see what they both do go for. VortiX has opted for the military school nice and early, so went for that 50 stone that you get, and then immediately knocking out the free units, which is, it's just very solid to do. Like, you're hoping that your gold mine of your opponent is closer to your base, just so you can harass it a little bit. Because a lot of the builds these days from Delhi, they want to get enough gold for a tech up, and then enough gold just for 1 extra scholar, and then stop mining gold, basically, just so they can whip out as many units as possible and really take control of the map. So if you can stop that, it's good for you. But LucifroN's probably smiling a little bit in his map situation, because you see that not only does he have a gold, even though he has a gold in front, which is, you know, that's kind of sad, he does have a gold at the back as well behind those berries, which is very, very nice for him, if all, you know, poop hits the fan.
Yeah, we have a military school opening out here from VortiX. First spearman yet to hit the field. Not a lot of aggression right now from him, and as you said, there is a gold mine that's shielded at the back, so it is somewhat questionable how much VortiX can do with these first 2 spearmen that are coming out.
Probably won't be a lot. Like, when I play Ottoman and I do this kind of stuff, I'm kind of hoping that if it is a gold, that they bring their scholar out and start healing the gold mining dudes. And you might be like, it feels so bad because I invested in this military school, but it does slow down a lot of the tech. And it slows it down pretty damn significantly as well, because you really do want to get that gold going. But I'm interested in seeing what LucifroN does, because I always look upon LucifroN as a very, very smart player. VortiX only taken up with 2 villages so far, now 3. Okay, so he wants to speed it up a little bit, and yeah, we'll get to see what LucifroN does choose to do here.
Yeah, now given that he went for a military school, this feudalage timing isn't bad by any means. He's just gonna be about 15 to 20 seconds behind his opponent, and he's going to have a chance to harass the gold mine over here. LucifroN has to be cautious, but obviously he has the scholar to heal. He can always pull off the villagers. So there should be no world in which he loses a villager here. It's more about forcing that idle time, getting that harassment going. And so far, VortiX is pretty good with that.
They're actually both doing a really good job. I'm scared for LucifroN. He's about to lose a bit. That already is way more than I thought he was going to get achieved. And honestly, if you're LucifroN, you're already kicking yourself, because 1 worker, that's 40 resources per minute from this moment on. That 130 gold point that we talked about, we look at LucifroN's resources over there in the top right, he's got like 42 gold off, which, that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a pretty damn big deal. That slows down your whole plan entirely. And the fact that he fought with that spearman for a good 20, 30 seconds there and lost a worker, yeah, massive start for VortiX here.
Yeah, it's a big one for VortiX. So what goes through the mind of LucifroN when we have this engagement over here? He was fighting off with the villagers. He was still staying at the gold mine. Why didn't he pull off that villager a little sooner? Was he just confident that he can save it? Or was there something else going on in his mind? What do you think?
I think this is one of those situations where very often you can, like, if you have 3 villagers versus a spearman, they will win in a straight up fight, but VortiX microed it quite well. LucifroN definitely, I don't want to say messed up a little bit, but it is definitely uncharacteristic of him to lose it, but he was just banking on the fact that he wanted to try and get that 130 gold. And that's a lot about VortiX knowing what LucifroN's goal was and trying to delay it. So they both knew what the other player was going for and what they wanted to achieve. It just worked out better for VortiX in this situation.
Yeah, a bit of a rough start over here for LucifroN. He's going to lose the mining camp before the mining upgrade would finish. He's going for a range with the Tower of the Victory, but this was spotted by VortiX. Actually, he's just now seeing the range, but he preemptively went Sipahi, so he already has the counter unit prepped for this one. And this is going to be an uphill battle here for LucifroN. Down one worker, and Sipahi's already being popped out to try and deal with the archers.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a little bit problematic. VortiX hasn't committed anything to a direct, like, unit producing structure besides the military schools, which is, it's cool by him, because he's only needed, like, 4 or 5 workers on food the entire time, and he's still whipping out, you know, a good little bit of pressure here. And you can see that in the unit score as well. Like, he's getting himself nicely situated. Here we start to see the first unit production building, which will be an archery range, and what Ottomans do tend to like to go for in this position. They like to get out the meta with their first vizier point, given that that gives them the speed boost. And they like to get out a lot of archers. And one thing that I think it was Magic that actually worked out initially, if you remember around Red Bull Wallow, Magic was kind of a Delhi specialist. Like, he was really good with it. And I remember playing him in practice, and he was like, you know, Ottoman's actually really good against Delhi. And I was like, what? At this point, we didn't know it. And he was like, yeah, it's really good, because, you know, if you just keep on using the meta aura, and you keep on backing off and shooting, the scholars don't heal properly. Like, they're never standing still for long enough to do it. So look out for that in VortiX's play this game if he does go for the meta, because that is exactly what makes it very difficult for these Delhi players to deal with.
Yeah, combat healing has also been nerfed in the most recent patch, so it's not as strong as it used to be. And also, we just have one scholar on the field right now for LucifroN, so that healing element is going to be negligible, at least for the first part of the feudal age.
Yeah, LucifroN's archer count is definitely getting higher. Most of his eco upgrades are coming online. He still, like, he didn't rebuild that gold, by the way, like, at all. So he hasn't got the mining upgrade going. He doesn't have I don't think he has a second scholar, actually. No, he doesn't have a second scholar, which, that just shows you, like, he's so committed to fighting this one sacred site at a time. Like, if he loses that scholar, I would almost say it's game over. Like, he has to treat that like his life depends on it, because it really does in this situation. But if he grabs that site for even just a moment and he gets, like, the little bit of gold trickle, then he can start to add on the scholars here. But yeah, he's been put in a precarious situation already.
Yeah, lovely to wall off the sacred sites, though. As you said, he's working through the sacred sites one by one, so he really can't spare forces to defend the sacred sites that he already has. He's going to wall this in, and VortiX is going to be a little late to the party over here. Might be a challenging fight to take. He's down by a couple of archers, and the walls, that should solidify the position enough for LucifroN to discourage VortiX from charging in. Looks like VortiX will go for it, though. LucifroN is hiding the horsemen on the back line, though. I'm not sure if VortiX has seen them, and this could come as a nasty surprise, Demu.
It definitely could. I think LucifroN also ran home his one scholar there, given that, you know, it was his lifeblood, if you will. In fact, is there any way that we can find out where that bad boy's gone? Because he wants to get out a lot of archers right now. This is very much going to be about who has more of those. They're both getting upgrades online. LucifroN does have the +1 range armor, which is a nice big deal. Oh, he's actually going for the scholar in the stable to get out a lot of horsemen. So that thing that you talked about, just getting those available, if he picks off all those spearmen, and those spearmen won't last a long time, yeah, this army is actually very scary from LucifroN.
A bit of a dance back and forth. As you said, keeping those spearmen alive is a crucial thing right now for VortiX. He has seen the horsemen. He also knows that he's outnumbered, so he needs to keep those spearmen alive. LucifroN will try to pick them. So far, beautiful micro by VortiX, just sniping down the archers and just keeping that force from LucifroN pinned inside that gate. No way for LucifroN so far to snipe those spearmen.
There isn't, but he's staying on the site. He's doing what he needs to. Like, the thing that you have to always remember is this is a resource game. So having that site means you're getting 150 gold a minute extra above what you were getting previously. You've got all the eco upgrades online as well for free as Deli. Right now, he's been benefiting from this situation more than VortiX has, just because he's getting more eco out of it. But VortiX obviously is not going to go down without a fight. He's back here. He's on the site. He's got a really good archer count here. I'm just curious when LucifroN's going to start switching into way more archers himself. Obviously, the number's very high, but been focusing on that horseman number very, very strongly.
Yeah, this is going to be a difficult fight for LucifroN to take. Wouldn't be surprised to see him deleting the walls, possibly, if he feels like he's got the numbers advantage, because he's now up against 10 spearmen. You don't want to take that fight close to the gate against that many spearmen with your horses. So he either takes that fight with the walls being deleted, or he's just going to give up on this site. Looks like he's going to do the latter, just fall back home, but this means that now he has no sacred sites under his control.
No, eco has definitely been leveled out. It did grab LucifroN enough gold to get him a few extra scholars, and you see that. He's now going for his first or his first gold mine in quite some time since losing the first one, but he managed to get out 3 extra scholars, so that boosts up his upgrade times, boosts out his unit production, given that having it in an archery range or a stable is a really big deal. In VortiX, he wants more out of this. Like, he's got a good army, he's got the mobility as well with that meta, and he knows that if this game does carry on and that scholar count does get higher and stuff, and he gives him a moment, it can start getting rough. But look at this, VortiX is positioning himself very nicely here. He knows what's up.
Yeah, he's committing very heavily to the upgrades. He's got all 4 blacksmith upgrades to speak of, faster than the Deli player does. And he's just going to make sure that the sacred site is being decapped. Also detaching a couple of Sipahi to the north, getting some nice raids going. Won't find a kill, but he idles some of the villagers. Might even force LucifroN to fall back for a brief moment. In the meantime, LucifroN looks like he is flirting with the idea of going into Castle Age here. But that may be a little challenging to do, given that he has no sacred sites for gold income.
Yeah, he's 100% going for that castle. Like, you can absolutely see it's a nice spot by you. And this is why he's doing this kind of move, taking out reinforcements. And he really gets to see that this is a super commitment by his opponent. And you can bet that he's clicking on all the units here. So he sees the archer upgrades, he sees the spearman upgrades too. So he knows the commitment's massive. And I think it's a perfect choice by LucifroN. Because, or when I say a perfect choice, it's a risky choice for sure. But do you really want to fight against an Ottoman player when you're stuck in Age 2? You're not playing your game anymore, you're playing his. But upon seeing that many guys in gold, VortiX is going to be more than aware of what's going on. I wouldn't be surprised if that starts launching a counterattack. So what you're going to see from LucifroN is he's going to do everything in his power to keep VortiX back at home. But doesn't look like VortiX is taking the bait here.
No, not at all. Archers marching forward over here. A couple of spearmen are left behind, and look at that. Compound of the defender being placed to the front. LucifroN is outnumbered almost 2-1 when it comes to the army. And VortiX will have a window to stop this with, spots the landmark, dives in, and this is not enough for LucifroN to hold this. He's not getting to Castle Age, Demu.
I'll tell you what, that was a rather ballsy placement of that landmark. Like, I haven't seen this since Hera versus Marine Lord in the Grand Finals, the final game of, in fact, it was the Winter Championship. Built a House of Learning all the way at the front kind of thing, and then the Knights came in, stopped it from going up, and it was game over. But, oh my goodness, that's a game-losing placement right there. And if he did manage to get up, it would still be damn hard, but... Whew. Absolutely brutal stuff. And this is just so much idle time. Like, look at those numbers for the resources. They're just all way better for VortiX. And yeah, GG.
Yeah, casualties astronomical over here. And as you said, the moment VortiX saw the villagers on the gold from LucifroN, that was the go sign for him. Saw that his opponent is trying to get to Castle Age, and the timing was perfect. Didn't take the bait with the horsemen raiding his lumberjacks. Just went on, and as you said, unfortunate placement for that compound of the defender for LucifroN. Got caught off guard, villagers massacred, Castle Age progress stopped, and VortiX security as we jump into game number 2. 1-0 lead so far for VortiX on Dry Arabia with a great timing on the Ottoman push. Now it is time for Golden Heights.
And immediately seeing LucifroN move out with not just one worker, going with 3 early on. It's a nice move. You can speed build the barracks very, very quickly. You can also get the dock working. I'm curious how VortiX is going to handle all of this. Getting attacked by a wolf early on is not really what you want, but yeah, we'll be making his way there. A little bit slower than LucifroN, it has to be said, but despite the fish being far away, or they are far away, Rus is also very good because even if you kill their dock with spearmen and such, they can still benefit from the fishing. So I am very curious how he's going to approach this, and this deer position for LucifroN was very fortunate for him that he can kill all these deer and not have to worry about the scout anymore. But I'm starting to get a little sad for VortiX in this game, because if he runs into those 3 villages, there is potential that LucifroN could hunt him down. And look at it, look at it. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. VortiX is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, LucifroN pulled 3 villagers over here. Initially, it seemed like he was just gonna rush that dock up, but that's not the plan for LucifroN. He detached 2 villagers headed to the south, seeking out that villager, and oh no, Lady is even going to run into a wolf over here at this point. It's getting rather worrisome. Scout is nearby, but I mean, problems are already being there. Dock is up for LucifroN. VortiX won't be able to get his own dock going. There is a boar here to pull for VortiX, possibly. And looks like he's just going to have to settle with a hunting cabin. At least it's going to be a nice and comfy hunting cabin to speak of.
It definitely will. LucifroN got the last hit on that wolf, by the way, I think, with his worker. So denying a little bit of extra bounty there from VortiX. But he's doing all right so far. He's up to... He's got 265 gold to speak of. We'll find his next deer pack as well. So he's going to start climbing there. But yeah, this is definitely a tremendously bad start for VortiX. Like, running over there with just 1 worker is risky. The meta has definitely gone to, okay, the more workers you bring, almost the better in many ways. But at least that's a juicy hunting cabin between those massive batches of wood there. But yeah, not the start you're looking for. Not the start at all.
Yeah, looks like Hunting Cabin will deliver 28 over here. To be honest, given that placement, I'm a little surprised it's only 28. Not necessarily the greatest start, as you mentioned, for VortiX, especially because we have to keep in mind that as much as the lumberjacking is going to be great in the future for the Rus, right now it's a much stronger economy for the HRE with the Prelate boosting the villagers, with the fishing ships working there as well. So what does VortiX do from here? He's going to have a slightly faster feudal age timing based on those resources. What's the direction that he needs to go to redeem himself in this game?
I'm honestly not sure. I don't know what... Like, VortiX and LucifroN, when they play these kind of games, I'm looking at this and I'm like, you know, it's game. Like, this is way better for LucifroN, but maybe VortiX feels that too, but he's, you know, still going with it. But very often it can be like, oh yeah, of course I do this. I'm not behind at all. This is just how games go, you know? And I'm interested because I would say maybe he needs to get some night stuff on the go, some harassing with that. Maybe, I mean, you could even pull out some tower rushing with a wooden fort or wooden mills and whatever, the wooden fortress jobbers. But yeah, I think he's in a lot of trouble. You can also go for the sneaky dock approach, and that's exactly what he's going to go for, because he does have a ridiculously fast tech. So getting out battleships immediately, that is kind of scary. But look at LucifroN. He knows.
Yeah, he spotted this, and this is the low HP villager. This dock isn't going up. If this villager was full HP, this dock would be finished, but this will be just enough for LucifroN to get the kill before the dock goes up. As bad as it could possibly be for VortiX over here. He gets the feudal age timing, but he won't get the dock going.
This is such a sad game, VortiX. Like, it really is. Like, you know, if that dock went up, I would have started kind of believing a little bit, but the fact that it didn't, yeah, this is just absolutely brutal. Fishing boats do obviously have massive range here, and this fishing, even though it's not super close fish like on another map such as Baltic or Boulder Bay, it still is a big boost for LucifroN's economy, and the fact that he's hatery as well, where all his works at home are getting inspired and whatnot. I don't know what he's going to do, because the longer this game goes, the worse it is for VortiX. The absolute worst it is. So he has to really... He's going to go for a second TC. I mean, that's one way to try and minimize the damage done, but it's also kind of like playing catch-up with your big brother. Like, you can never quite...
Literally.
Yeah, you can never quite get bigger than him, you know? And it doesn't look like it's what he's going to go for regardless.
Yeah, he's gonna wall in those relics over here, knowing that he's about to forfeit map control with the second TC. It's not like aggression towards LucifroN would do much. LucifroN knows fully well that VortiX has to make something happen, so he's walling off the back of his base. He's got a very well defendable base, actually. Goldmine is now very safe for LucifroN, minimal chance for VortiX to deny that. Best thing that VortiX can do right now to deny the gold, in the future at least, is indeed to just wall in these relics. But it looks like LucifroN is going to have a free ticket going into Castle Age, and he should be able to secure at least 2 relics over here right at the beginning.
Yeah, even if he doesn't get the relics, like, the world is truly his oyster here. Let's have a look at the numbers. He's getting a lot of gold, he's getting a lot of food, he's got a lot of sheep back at home as well, so as soon as he does want that extra little bit of food income, he can just go for that. And if you look at the numbers across the board as well, the eco, it's just extremely good for LucifroN. Like, he's going to be at Regnitz very soon, and you know what's even scarier? This is the kind of game where Burger would just kind of instantly win it as well, which is really funny to say, because there's no threat of crossbowmen anytime soon. Anything you can make in H2 will die to men-at-arms, and the space between the bases is very close as well. And you can see that VortiX is maybe a little bit worried about that kind of stuff, because he's been playing greedy behind all this, even though his economy is worse. And he's making his own wall. Okay, is loot? Okay, these workers.
There's the Burgrave Palace.
Yeah.
Love that choice, actually.
I do like it. I hate the position of it. I absolutely hate, like, he's plonked it right on that Archon. But the thing is, LucifroN isn't hoping this game goes on for a long time. Like, he wants this game to be over very, very quickly. So, yeah, this is like, okay, where are all my workers? They're right here. Let's go, go, go. And this is so unfortunate for VortiX. Like, VortiX has been playing a catch-up game against a player that's ahead of him. He hasn't been planning... Like, you can see that he's walled off all the relics around the map. This game isn't about the relics. This game is going to be about pure, raw survival, and LucifroN gets to see exactly what's happening now with LucifroN, or rather with VortiX, and yeah, this is rough, man. This is rough. I think... I don't know what to say.
Well, Burgrave Palace is completed, and VortiX is yet to set his eyes on that, so he doesn't know if it's a Regnitz or a Burgrave coming up. He seems a little paranoid about this, given the walls coming up on the right side, and it feels like the attack is likely coming from that direction. And it makes some sense if you think about that. His walls are complete on the left side. Maybe he's thinking, okay, LucifroN saw my walls, he's just going to try and target my second TC. But no, that's not going to be the plan. Instead, 2 villagers are being brought forward, and that's going to be a chop through. I wonder if VortiX will see that. He's got a lot of things to address right now here on the right side. He might not see the chop through in time.
I'm just very surprised that... Okay, I was like, why hasn't LucifroN made any units yet? But now we do see like a 5-minute-arms queued up here. Maybe he's getting the upgrades on them first, I'm not entirely sure, but he does have a good amount of resources available. He's going to be mining a lot of gold. He's spamming out these units. He's even getting +2 ranged armor here, which at this point, we know it's unnecessary. You only need 1 extra bit of range if you are up against just a feudal age player. It will mitigate all those arrows to 1 damage just with 1 upgrade, so that would suffice. But yeah, he's going to go for it. Like, and with these guys able to chop here, I'm curious why he's chopping where he is. Maybe he doesn't want to give the game away until he's right at his front door, and that looks like that was the case. Absolutely. And yeah, we do see those men-at-arm upgrades coming online now. He's getting all of them, man, with that blacksmith.
Yeah, LucifroN will
look at the
spot
panic.
this. But the men-at-arms are here. It's too late. That single tree being chopped down should be sufficient. Marching drills are missing for these men-at-arms, but the villagers will be just a little too late to the party, possibly. Or will they? There is still an opening. Walls complete in time. Torches being thrown, but it looks like VortiX lives to see another day. Villagers being pulled once again for the chop through. But VortiX buys himself some time, and he's getting close to Castle Age. Can he buffer this up until he gets a couple of crossbows? That's the question.
It's looking rough, man. It's looking rough. I mean, if he can get out some crossbows, then great. But as soon as this wall is down, where did those two villagers go, by the way? Like, okay, they're still trying to chop around. I wonder if he doesn't have the forestry upgrade here. But VortiX is doing a really good job of buying time against this, because this is not easy when you're under a lot of panic. He's also getting up his Abbey of Trinity while all this madness is going on here, and these men-at-arms, they're trying to kind of attack through this wall here. They are getting a lot of damage done on the walls, but this is some nice walling by VortiX, and yeah, this is absolutely buying him the time that he needs. But even if he does buy the time, look how many men-at-arms there are now. This is a crazy number that's going to be breaking through.
Yeah, and marching drills are now coming in. Maces already completed. How long can you hold these walls? I don't think you can hold them long enough. Textiles coming in for VortiX. Problem is that, as you said, he's up against 30 men-at-arms. Even if he pops out a couple of crossbows, it will be insufficient, and it looks like he will not be able to finish the walls now in time. These men-at-arms will start rampaging his eco, and this might be the beginning of the end. Once again, he tries the walls, but that time it's going to fail. Men-at-arms are now flooding in. He's queuing up 5 crossbows over here, but you really feel like it's coming a little too late over here.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, if he had a big bank available, I'd be like, all right, how many tickets does he have available in this Kremlin? Like, just to try and battle it, because maybe that could do something, but I don't think he's got much in the bank here. Like, even supply blocks, so he can't even make the Kremlin Gremlins, even if he wanted to. And yeah, his economy is going to get totally shut down. And that's a lot of Archer Rangers, by the way. Like, VortiX is doing everything possible that he can to try and make this happen. And you see that he's not supply blocked anymore. He's able to get the Kremlin Gremlins out, able to try and buy time, but 37 men-at-arms, and yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, lovely move from LucifroN, by the way, not to show the first couple of men-at-arms. So many times you see players trickling in 4 or 5 men-at-arms. Opponent sees what's coming, and they have a little bit more time to wall, a little bit more time to prepare. LucifroN showed those men-at-arms when he had like 20 of them, and VortiX wasn't able to react. But as you said, this was more of a storyline that goes back to the Dark Age, the villager being intercepted, second attempt at the dog being denied once again, and from that point on, VortiX just did the best he could to catch up on the economy department, but LucifroN just punished him with a faster Castle Age, a rapid escalation of military, and eventually just overrun him with men-at-arms. Makes it a 1-1 series, 2 very quick games in quick succession as we enter game number 3.
Number 2, over the last 6 months especially, of AoE 4, so that would be very interesting. I think they both bring very exciting styles to the table, and they're very much like the unstoppable force and the immovable object kind of thing. I know it's very cliche to say that, but Beastie is so much about grabbing every little thing and making it like every resource and just going about it very systematic and playing the game in a way that you try and make it as easy as possible for yourself. Whereas Marinelord's the absolute opposite, and he'll try and make the game as hard for himself, but in turn as hard for his opponent as possible. Which, yeah, they both, it works out and makes for very nice games.
Yeah, before we get to that semi-final, though, we still have a long way to go here in VortiX versus LucifroN. We are heading to Dry River with VortiX spawning on the left side using the Mongols. Right side will be LucifroN with the Ottomans in yellow. It's 1 score apiece right now. VortiX took game number 1 on Dry Arabia. LucifroN responded on Golden Heights with a strike. Now it is going to be Dry River, and as you said prior to this game, you would expect some level of commitment from VortiX when it comes to Dark Age aggression, but probably not a whole lot. We do see a barracks coming out from LucifroN. We'll have to see if there is a response to that from VortiX.
Yeah, I'm already a little bit surprised about LucifroN's build here. I say that, but it's not too crazy. He went for the dock immediately, And you got to remember, there's probably going to be mind games going on between us, or between them, especially given that they are practice buddies. So VortiX went for the Uvu. I can't tell. Can we have a look at VortiX's vision just to see whether he went across the map immediately here? Because I want to know what he sees. Because seeing that you've gone for an Uvu, and then... No, he has no idea what his opponent's up to. Like, so he hasn't gone for that barracks immediately, like that stone that he's getting right now. He's just accumulating stone. This is almost like a gentleman's agreement game, because in my head, I'd have been like, all right, I'm going for military school barracks. We're going to make you pay immediately. But this is very, very different.
Yeah, double
barracks.
Yeah, it's heavy commitment to protect this dock. This dock is offset far to the right. Same thing for VortiX. He's going to offset his dock to the left side. No one contesting the middle pawns. LucifroN did scout the dock of VortiX here. I'm actually unsure if VortiX has scouted the dock coming from his opponent yet. He's just now heading back home with the Khan, dropping the barracks close to the Ovu. Let's take a look at that scouting from the Khan, and the answer is no. He's unaware of the placement of the dock coming from LucifroN, and even more crucially, he's unaware of the double barracks play coming from LucifroN.
Yeah, he does have a lot of stone saved up, so he can whip out at least 2 sets of spearmen, maybe even 3 by the time it gets there. So that will absolutely help him out quite a bit. He does have a nice safe gold behind his base as well, but it will be like battle between the docks, which, yeah, when you're that committed as LucifroN is here, which we get to see, which is really, really cool by him. VortiX gets a good scout before the spearmen have really knocked on his front door. That is crucial for him. I'm quickly going to grab some water, Lidakor, while this is going on.
Well, here come the first spearmen from LucifroN. We'll target the dock over here. Right now, spearman numbers actually favor VortiX over here, courtesy of the double training. Khan not to be found on the battlefield, and it looks like we have 2 wolves joining the fight, both of them targeting the spearman of LucifroN, so he's the one that has to back off for the time being. And it looks like after a bit of a slower start when it comes to army expansion for VortiX, he's going to double down on Dark Age, goes all the way up to 6 spearmen, realizing that he's up against double barracks, so this is going to be possibly a very long Dark Age engagement. For now, LucifroN pulls back his spearmen. VortiX once again regrouping back at home as well, waiting for new spearmen to arrive. Looks like we have more in queue for him as compared to VortiX, who's stopped at 6 right now. This might be the magical number that he's been waiting for, might be eyeing towards Feudal Age right now. Whereas on the other side, LucifroN, he's not going to slow down. He's up to 8. He's looking to take some level of aggression towards that dock from VortiX. Demu still missing in action, so you guys will be stuck with me for a couple more seconds, but looks like our lovely co-caster is just now back. So let's ask his opinion about this. So, Demu, we're up to 10 spearmen from LucifroN. Heavy commitment to Dark Age over here. VortiX stopped at 7. Looks like now he's going to add 2 more, make it 9. How do you feel about this one? Who is getting the edge here with a very heavy commitment to spearmen from both sides?
I personally like this for LucifroN. Just if you're talking about just the straight up battles and these kind of things, VortiX wants to tech up. Like that's his goal here. You can see that he's got the gold available because he knows he's going to be against Imam soon or the meta, and you see that already. Like the more units you make as Ottoman, for every unit that pops out, doesn't have to be close to the TC or anything, you are getting more Vizier points. So LucifroN's really played into this, and very soon VortiX isn't going to be able to fight against this anymore. So that's a massive deal. So now it's like, all right, VortiX, you have to age up. How are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? DS stones immediately. It's going to be a lot of workers on there, but I think this dock is almost forfeit at this point.
Yeah, you will likely have to forfeit this when it's 17 versus 9 when it comes to the spearman count. Quite a few of those spearmen are hurt for LucifroN, but he can heal them with the imams. And it looks like we have a bit of a scuffle over here. A little bit hard to call what's actually going on the battlefield over here. We even saw some torches being thrown by the spearmen towards those opposing spearmen. And it looks like VortiX is just going to send 3 villagers to the south, try and make a new dock. I don't think this was spotted by LucifroN. Actually, he did. He's sending a spearman to the south, and that dock should be denied with that many spearmen being nearby.
Yeah, and that spearman count, by the way, like up to 19 now. So you can tell that LucifroN was really gung-ho about getting this sorted. And oh, those fishing boats, like that's really dented his food economy here for VortiX. And he's just in a rough spot because even if you do say to yourself, oh yeah, it's fine, I've lost my dock, I'm losing my fishing boats here. If you try and put them in the middle, they still kind of mess up a little bit. But VortiX comes over here and he's like, yeah, I've got H2, but you know, the dock has died now and you can't get an arrow ship out and whatnot. Just a super rough situation. I'm not really sure what the Mongol player hoped for early on, but this just felt a little bit too greedy.
Yeah, all the fishing ships are now gone. He's going to try and make up for that by torching down LucifroN's dock. LucifroN is pretty far away from that, so he has to be cautious, but he should have enough time to get back home. And it looks like VortiX will just give up on the water, go for a pasture-based economy. He might get an opportunity to set this dock on fire, which would be some level of redemption. And indeed, this dock is gonna be set on fire at least, so there is some level of compensation for losing his own dock. Still though, as you said, heavy commitment from LucifroN kind of pays off, pushes the Mongol player off from water.
Yeah, definitely not bad. I mean, what else could VortiX have done with this? Forces out a kill. Wait, is that dock blocked by that sheep body? I don't believe so anymore. Maybe it was. Okay, that dock's going up, but like the dock on the initial pond where he's trying to rebuild. But either way, we do have LucifroN with a decent supply lead. He's going to go for his spearman upgrade here as well. VortiX did manage to accumulate quite a bit of stones, so he did manage to whip out a lot of archers. But yeah, I think right now, even though I do prefer LucifroN's situation, this is what makes pro players so good. Even though in a lot of situations it could have been like, VortiX, you literally just lost like 5-6 fishing boats in a dock, you must be in bad shape. We look at it and it's like, no, he absolutely had a contingency plan available. And the way he's microing this as well, this is really nice by him.
Yeah, finds a villager kill. Also has quite a few archers, so he will be able to hold these spearmen back for the time being. On the other side, no response just yet for the archers, and it looks like VortiX will also be able to sneak out the dock over here. So, as you said, there's definitely a contingency plan over here for VortiX. Managed to torch down the dock prior, and now we're going to see a stable coming in from LucifroN, but VortiX has 6 spearmen out there, has 9 archers too, could actually try forcing an engagement before a lot of Spahis show up.
He certainly could. Like, their armies right now, I definitely prefer VortiX's, like with those 11 archers. Economically as well, even though he lost his ships that were gathering resources, it's not the biggest deal in the world because they're just shoreline fish, right? So it's not as if they're deep sea and you get way extra. Back at home, he's got the deer stones and he's got the wheelbarrow already against no resource tech at all by LucifroN. So maybe VortiX's economy is actually looking better in this situation, even though he's the one that is being docked down, but now he's managing to get them up again. And I think this is it's all starting to add up a little bit for VortiX here.
Absolutely. He's up to 13 archers. Yet to see the Sipahi show up, but there is not a single one of them on the playing field right now. And VortiX has a decent resource bank. He's banking up a lot of gold, has a decent food bank as well, could easily double down on this. We don't see a lot of blacksmith upgrades from him. Instead, he's actually going for fishing. So he's going to get back over there. Actually has 2 fishing ships working already. And right now, economy, at least when it comes to the worker count, looks slightly better for him. Overall resource income, though, currently in the favor of LucifroN. Part of that, obviously, is the Twin Minaret. Part of that, obviously, is the fact that these fishing ships have been non-stop working for LucifroN. But that's going to stop now, fishing ships being idled by the archers. Not a single combat ship out here for LucifroN.
No, and it's definitely, his life is definitely being made hard, right? Like, these archers do reign supreme massively. The spear count also has been going up for VortiX while all this has been happening, so he does respect the fact that Sipahi are probably not too far away. By the way, did you notice that VortiX got the... Yeah, you got the fishing upgrade.
Yes.
That's so weird. Like, I never see people get that on a map like this, but I'm actually very curious as to how much it really helps you, especially with just shoreline fish.
Yeah, fishing ships have been boosted very recently when it comes to work rates on shoreline fish, so it's not as bad as it used to be, but indeed, bit of a surprising choice over here for VortiX. Also shows that he's confident that he can hold his spawns. He isn't afraid of being pushed off from the water, and with a reason. His army is looking pretty decent right now. Spearmen archers, near even mix. On the other side, we see the first couple of Sipahis show up, though. I don't think that VortiX has seen the stables, nor did he see the Sipahis, but he should know it's coming.
Definitely should. And the number of units that they both have, they're both absolutely respecting this feudal fight. This could bite VortiX in the butt, though. Like, his army's being split up in a weird kind of way here. Does run into a lot of spearmen, but... Okay, LucifroN wasn't ready to take that fight either. It looks like they're both catching each other a little bit off guard here in the middle. But VortiX, I think he's gone... Yeah, he has gone for a second TC. I was just seeing that his wood income has been crazy for a while. He's got that tower over there. He's going to start working on the deer as well. I'm starting to like VortiX's situation more and more as this game goes on.
His army is looking pretty decent, starting to bank up a lot of resources. Not just food and gold, but also wood. Could you see a second town? Actually, never mind. We have a second TC on the north, if I'm not mistaken. That's something that we may have just glossed over, but that icon on the minimap very much seems like a second TC. Can we check on that?
If you mean for VortiX, it definitely is. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got
it's
it.
second TC already.
The deers. Yeah, he got the meat upgrade as well, so he can start harvesting those deer real damn fast. The gold is looking pretty all right for him. It's been a little bit of a slow trickle. He's still got a lot of wood available, so...
He's going for a third. There's no other explanation. He's going for a third TC, and he's also gonna go Castle over here. Might actually seem a little greedy, but depends on what LucifroN does with this army. He's got the numbers advantage right now. Might actually look to force a fight over here close to the stealth forest. Meter nearby, Imams nearby. This is not a comfortable position for VortiX to be in. Tries to just go to the north, but looks like he might get surrounded over here. And LucifroN wants to double down on this. Siege engineering on the way. Khan gets picked off. Spearmen now being focused down, and once those are gone, Sipahi King reigns supreme. Uncomfortable spot over here for VortiX as he takes this fight, and it will likely get cleaned up over here.
This is super bad for VortiX, but he realizes, like, okay, it's going to die. Just got to make it last for as long as possible, because he is getting H3 in the meantime. So this isn't just about, like, oh no, he's getting cleaned up. He's buying time with this. This isn't what he wanted by any means, but that step redoubt is coming in here. Isn't on a gold. You might be like, oh, why isn't it on a gold? He just had to build it with as many workers as were available, and he has excess wood, so might as well use those wood dudes to do it. And I'm actually very curious what units is going to go next. Because if I look at this army, I'm like, knights would be awesome. And I dare say, even men-at-arms would be fantastic. So I'm really curious about what he's going to start producing here, because he has to produce units very quickly. But LucifroN's not far behind in the H3 department here.
Indeed, the Mehmet Imperial Armory coming in here for him. He's got decent blacksmith upgrades as well, and more importantly, he's got an army to upgrade. He's going to spot the second... Actually, he misses out on the second town center, sees the tower, so he knows that VortiX is at least taking that hunt. And I love how he's walling off back at home. Knows that knights are a threat, and he's got a slow-moving army right now. Just wants to wall off back at home, prevent those raids from VortiX, and just focus the fight to the middle. Response from VortiX will be multiple Spring Golden placements. He knows a push is coming, and with Castle Age being in for LucifroN, we are going to see quite a few crossbows appear possibly to deal with the armored units. And of course, the Veteran Archer upgrade is going to come in a second.
Yeah, losing that army for VortiX was actually so huge, because like every pro knows that Ottoman, they thrive. Like this moment in time, right here, right now, is when Ottoman is at their strongest. Like as soon as they hit H3, they have 4 military schools available, and they have that armory pumping out of Mangonel. So they are just pumping out units non-stop, and some of them are for free. A lot of them are for free. They have that meta as well in the mix. He's kept alive an Imam as well, which he's using it to pick up relics for himself, I believe, right now, but that can provide the healing as well. And eco-wise, he's gathering very, very nicely on his side of things. Got a few eco upgrades available, and still more to get, but yeah, he's getting the relics on the go as well. And these knights, we look at it now, 12 spearmen already out. LucifroN did have those 2 barracks that he had at the dock. And look how he's walled off the map as well. He's made it very hard for VortiX to really do anything.
Yeah, VortiX is known for those night raids. He's just so good when it comes to controlling small groups of knights or individual knights. But he's not gonna be given a chance over here to raid unless this army misses the knights coming in. And VortiX actually gets a chance to punish here. Comes in a little too late to the party though. Lancer is already out as well for LucifroN, so he can just mirror the movement over here and negate the effects of this raid, more or less at least. LucifroN still needs to be careful not to lose villagers though, because he's down by 20 workers, courtesy of that second TC out there. But the knights will be repelled for the time being, and right now, we're looking at a 75 to 16 army ratio. When LucifroN gets going, it feels near impossible that VortiX can stop him.
I don't want to be that guy that kills hype and stuff. Like, if VortiX can do some magic here and keep LucifroN from attacking him, then it could be looking promising. And, you know, his army right now, in a straight-up fight, is going to get absolutely smacked. But 14 knights raiding here, there, and everywhere, that's something that you really have to respect, because that will absolutely obliterate your eco. And you can see how VortiX is kind of biding his time. If LucifroN goes on top around that pond, he's going to swoop down to the bottom. He's just going to look to see where he can go, where LucifroN isn't, to try and make him go back home. But I think LucifroN, he knows his timing window. I'm thinking that he's waiting on his 1 mango here to get going, to really kind of be the, okay, you're the captain in my army kind of thing. And yeah, he sends some units back home. We'll be solidifying that. And even though economically he's falling behind in villagers pretty hard, he has been collecting those relics very nicely. It will be 3-2 for him, but yeah, I think it's go time for him now.
Yeah, he mixed in 8 Janissaries correctly, so as much as that army has a great value for VortiX, all of those units are premium units, knights those are, in a straight-up battle, they have no chance against that many Janissaries, crossbows, spearmen, whatever, so VortiX does the best thing he can, which is just go in for the raids. There is still definitely an opening here for him to raid LucifroN's base, but LucifroN, he's unfazed by this one. He's just diving in, intercepts all the crossbowmen with the Sipahi, and that's the only defending units that VortiX has right now.
That is the saddest group of crossbowmen I've ever seen, and it felt like VortiX knew what his plan was, which was to, as soon as you move out, I'm going to attack your base, try and make you come back home. But he didn't realize how close or where LucifroN's army was exactly, and chaos ensues, but LucifroN with a massive army. And yeah, he's playing this really well, man. He's playing very, very smart.
Yeah, double TC play from VortiX, but as you said, losing that army just before Castle Age, that was a stinger. If that army survived, at least there would have been some extra buffer for VortiX's forces, but after losing that, he was just outnumbered so heavily, and even though he went for those Castle Age premium units, as you said, LucifroN with the free units coming for the Ottomans, the leftover army that he could upgrade to Castle Age units, plus of course the relics boosting his eco, the military units, or the military schools rather, popping out those free units, that just culminated in a massive numbers advantage for LucifroN, ends up overrunning VortiX, and now LucifroN has 2 in a row, takes the lead in this set for the first time.
Yeah, really smart play by him, and very unfortunate for VortiX to get his initial feudal army called out there in the north, but you saw that the cogs were working. Like, you saw that his backup plan was trying to make sure that the game goes on for a little bit longer and to keep LucifroN back, but he did a decent job of it too. Like, a few of those little raids were quite nice and nasty at the same time. But so far, they're both playing just very good AoE 4. I'm liking everything between them, and the fourth map between... I mean, I could also see like a men-at-arms opening be kind of effective. Okay, yeah, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be chaos. So LucifroN sending down 3 workers, and you got to remember they deal 5 damage a hit with their arrows. So it takes 10 shots. So 3 is kind of a funny number to be doing it with. So a lot going to come down to where they put their docks as well, and they're both absolutely doing the same thing. I think they're both doing the same. Okay. So a little bit of scouting there from LucifroN. I almost thought for a second they were both sending over 2 villagers to deal the damage, kind of. But yeah, this is what I meant by these two practice together a lot. When it comes down to mirrors, they can both be doing things in their own absolute special way.
Yeah, heavy commitment on both sides over here. Docks coming up for both. Looks like no men-at-arms from either side just yet, but we will see if either of them is going to double down on this. Now, big question is when you spot the opponent's dock, because I'm actually uncertain whether either of them has seen the opponent. They should be relatively close, so there's a good chance that they see each other with the docks, but if not, yeah, there it is. There's the line of sight. Both of them are aware of each other's presence. So now the big question becomes, how much of an aggression are you going to put up here in Dark Age, and how much you are rushing Feudal for the first combat ship to pop out?
I do know that VortiX is a fan of getting out men-at-arms, especially when it comes to English Mirror. I fell victim for that 1 week, and it was very sad for me. So that could absolutely be in the cards. These shoreline fish, you know, they're not the best, not the worst. These 3 villagers that did move down to the middle do actually give quite a lot of food income, given that shoreline fish for villagers way better than for the boats, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I'm just super curious where this leads up, because in my head I'm thinking, all right, are they both kind of going about this just to get as much as possible, then get a tech up and going? There's a lot of ways to go about it.
Yeah, looks like VortiX is gonna have a big haul of sheep out there, as compared to LucifroN, who only has like 1 carcass under the town center. Curious to see how many sheep he has trailing his scout, but it very much seemed like VortiX got the majority of the sheep from the map. It looks like we do have 12 after all for LucifroN, so not that bad. They're just hiding under the TC. Relatively even haul then. No one is gonna have a massive edge here in Dark Age. And it looks like we are just having a race towards Feudal Age right now. Looks like VortiX is just gonna go for the wood. No barracks from either player just yet. Bit of a head start for LucifroN though when it comes to collecting those resources. His food bank is looking a little sharper. Also, his food income per minute is slightly better right now. So, based on this, we're likely going to see a slightly faster Feudal Age over here for LucifroN.
I mean, just because the food's better, VortiX's gold is a little better. He was
True.
quite a bit quicker to starting that gold situation. Honestly, I think it's that phrase, like all roads lead to Rome kind of thing, you know. But I'm very curious about what they do when they hit it. Like, if you have 1 dock in the middle, do you go for a springall ship? Do you go for an arrow ship? You don't go for a demo ship, because that 1 single demo ship really can't achieve anything. So it's about what you do with the other ones. And so do you commit to just pure longbows instead? Because they can also do the job and then be very, very annoying. You end up at your opponent's base, and what can he do? Can make his own longbows. Ooh, I love this by VortiX. So he's almost kind of like forgoing everything that I've said and just said, you know what? I'm just going to go for archers very quickly, but right in the middle. Look how close that is to being in vision, but it isn't at all. This is very smart.
Yeah, that's such a good position out there. There's a chance LucifroN spots that, but it's not gonna come in time. And not only will he have the advantage going into Feudal Age, that's gonna be such a great position to reinforce the middle with longbows. Naturally, if he ever loses that position, it's gonna be a nightmare, because any new longbow he makes is just gonna get instantly picked off. But right now, that's such a nice position. Will be spotted by LucifroN's scout in this very moment, but it comes in just too late for LucifroN. It's not like he can react to this one in any meaningful manner. And as you said, that position is just gonna be so strong for VortiX. He will be able to aggress those fishing ships in the next few seconds.
He certainly will. And LucifroN, he's reacted. And look at that, his council hall. I saw 6 workers, 8 workers, then 10 workers. So he realizes, like, oh crap, I like what you're doing too. I need to meet that. The big thing is this almost now for VortiX. It's not an all-in by any means, but the amount of like walk room to get there and get that done, like it's very quick. And look, he's also going to go for the stone here. He wants to go for arrow slits on this dock here. So if there are boats available shooting back at him, he's like, you know what? My dock also helps with my longbows. And we do see the Hulk. I love everything about the way that VortiX is handling this.
Yeah, longbows popping out already. He's actually on stone. It's possible that indeed it's gonna be naval arrow slits coming in just now. Could even see a forward tower over here. Would be lovely to have the network of castles aura out there in the front. First combat ship pops out for LucifroN though, and the VortiX doesn't have anything to respond to that with. So he's going to be the first one whose fishing eco gets pushed back. Demo ship in queue. There's going to be naval arrow slits though in time as well. Looks like he won't lose a single fishing ship, and instead chooses to just go hit the stone mine out there. Pushes away LucifroN before he would have the stone for naval arrow slits himself.
Certainly, and VortiX does get to the base and he realizes like, oh, you're getting stone? Okay, that's actually a really big deal to find that out. Because it kind of means like, okay, now I'm not going to commit super hard to dock fishing boats and whatnot, because you can lose them. Because that arrow slits will deal with things eventually, but VortiX back at home, he's kind of stopped the production on his longbows. Like he just got out 4 and then he stopped, and I think he's just going to go for a second TC, which is also a really cool and smart play. Where's he going to put it? On the middle of this deer pack? I mean, that could be kind of juicy. Could be juicy.
That could be lovely. He also sunk one of the hawks on the pond, and now with naval arrow slits, it's going to be both players being essentially unable to fish over here. You might be able to find an angle on one of those shorefish, but eventually these fishing ships will be cleaned up. So lovely to see VortiX doubling down on this eco expansion and say, okay, as long as I have that food eco from the pond, I will just use that to set myself up very well economically for the next few minutes. But starts to farm transition, starts to play with the second town center, and you see LucifroN is yet to find out about that one. Right now he's kind of preoccupied dealing with his fishing ships, also dealing with that council hole in the middle, and it's actually funny to see that council hole being placed out there, because VortiX is like, okay, this is going to be a very aggressive play, but then VortiX is like, okay, I will just double down on the eco, and for LucifroN, probably he didn't expect that second town center, right?
No, I don't think so. But you can usually guess that if your opponent bothered to get stone for the slits, that's not only is it a big investment, 75 wood, 125 stone for those slits, but it's also the mining time, those villagers moving over there, the 50 wood for the gold mine or the stone mine itself. Usually do think about the possibility of, okay, if you want to make the most out of that, you do go for the second TC, which both of them are done, and they're both mirroring each other so hard when it comes to how many of the units they're making, and all this micro with the fishing boats as well. I'd have given up on that like a long time ago. Like I'm a lazy dude these days, you know, and these guys, they're both absolutely doing everything they can, which is great to see. And there's a few things where it's a little bit different between them. VortiX going for the wheelbarrow, whereas LucifroN's going for the broad axe first. So they are different, but yeah, the scores between them, very close.
And as you said, they're just trying to maximize the efficiency of these fishing ships. Just get 1 or 2 more trips going, just a tiny bit more food. Right now, bit of a difference in the builds. Wheelbarrow coming in a little sooner for VortiX. Double broad axe now on the way for both. And it looks like things have settled down a little. Both players are slowing down here as we have 2 town centers for both. Bit of an edge on the eco department from VortiX, but that is partly because I think he has 1 extra fishing ship over his opponent. That will eventually be sunk when those shorefish deposits just run out, and they will have to go to the contested ground. Arrow slits should be able to deal with them. Looks like we might have a sneak around here, though, from VortiX. This could come in nasty. I'm fairly certain that LucifroN's longbows are back at home, but if he's not cautious, he could end up losing a couple of villagers to this.
He absolutely could. He's being nice and careful, though, with his longbows. We see that now that he is in his base, which is great for him. Both have done the same thing with their second TC, just plonked it on the deer, getting them nice and sorted. And look at it as well. Like, I think they're both absolutely going castle with this. The food is stocking up nicely, as is the gold. We do see the stables already on the go for VortiX. And I bet you LucifroN's going to do the exact same thing. Because a map like this, it is a lot about map control. And if you can just make sure that your opponent is the one defending and not you, those knights can be a real sucker to deal with.
King's Palace coming in a little faster here for VortiX as he's going to make a switch into cavalry. On the other side, likely King's Palace as well for LucifroN. Although White Tower is not impossible, but it is going to be, indeed, King's Palace. Two brothers, two sparring partners. They are just mirroring each other's moves over here. The same mindset that we have going into this game. So far, very small discrepancies between the builds of the two.
Yeah, super small. Like, both going for 4 stables, both doing the King's Castle. I do especially like the way that LucifroN's handled this, though. Like, if we look at what VortiX, or what he sees everything. Now, this was a nice little sneak attack. Very nice reaction by LucifroN, though. I don't think he lost a single worker to that. And up until that moment, I don't think VortiX saw anything that was going on.
Yeah, neither of the players have great vision on the opponent here. Neither LucifroN...
I think LucifroN has really good vision. Like, if you see... Yeah, with his scout there, he sees all the 4 stables are. So they're absolutely on the front, whereas his 4 stables are all the way at the back, tucked behind everything. So whether VortiX knows or not, LucifroN knows guaranteed what he's up against.
Yeah, I didn't see the little yellow dot on the minimap, but yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Much better vision out there for LucifroN. He knows fully well what he's up against, and as you said, docks on the back line here for VortiX, hidden behind that forest. VortiX does not know fully well what he's up against, but in the end, this is just gonna be a full mirror play of Knights so far. Love the walls though from LucifroN. He saw the stables, he knows Knights are coming, so he's going to try to be the one that dictates the tempo of the game, wall off the northern side so he can focus to the south.
Yeah, this wall by LucifroN's actually very cool. It means that you only have to focus on one half of the map. Like, it literally splits it in half by just walling off your half, which is really, really neat by him. And we've also got to remember, like, Council Hall these days, you are able to produce crossbowmen, which does make the initial defense against this kind of stuff a lot easier. But I guess VortiX's Council Hall is pretty damn exposed, which does make it a little bit easier for LucifroN if he does want to camp that section. But yeah, the night counts, they're going to be very, very similar. VortiX has been a little bit quicker about getting his upgrades online, such as Horticulture, he's got the Wheelbarrow. LucifroN, not a Wheelbarrow gamer, very interesting from him.
Night numbers looking pretty close right now. A bit of a clash coming in here on the right side. First engagement for quite a while. And it looks like we might have a beautiful surround over here for VortiX. Has to be careful, though, as the reinforcements arrive. LucifroN will just pull back his forces. Now, both players are working their way towards relics, with most of them being on the north. We'll have to see who has the edge in that department in a few minutes. But for the time being, most of the fights will be focused to the south. And it looks like LucifroN might be able to yoink the relic to the east without getting spotted. Has to be careful, though. Walks onto the sacred side. That's a bit of a ping there for VortiX. Hey, there is a monk out there. Sends the knights nearby, but has to be careful not to lose them. Actually, beautiful micro. Keeps the one weak knight behind and saves all of his knights while picking off one. Looks like the monk is gonna get away, though. Knights having short line of sight. They won't find him.
I actually don't know what happened with LucifroN here. Like, he had so many stables. Like, he hit them all entirely. But if we look at his knight count, it's only at 4, whereas VortiX is at 10. Which, making that many stables and not truly going for it. And, you know, he's got this one monastery over here now on this side of the map, when there was 2 relics, which now VortiX is going to claim over here. All of a sudden, if this game was kind of like 55-45 for one of them, it is now very much looking very good for VortiX. He just handles economy quite a bit better getting here. And we do see that LucifroN's arch count is growing pretty substantially. And I dare say he invested pretty massively in that. But yeah, gold-wise, definitely a little bit of mismanagement by him.
Yeah, he's a little short on gold. So as you said, knight production is not as good as it could possibly be. On the other side, VortiX's build-up is much more rapid. And as you said, LucifroN, he's adding archers here. Ooh, beautiful raid coming in from LucifroN. First time that he's been really diving into the base of the opponent. Forces a lot of idle time, manages to get a pick. Also spots the barracks transition coming in here from VortiX. So, once again, LucifroN is well informed. Problem is that he's now outnumbered 2-1 when it comes to the knights.
Yeah, the knight count is pretty damn amazing for VortiX. Supply-wise, still very close. Worker count, still very close between them. whenever you're the one running away, that sucks because your units move a little bit slower when they're not the ones charging. And oh, a little bit of laziness on those horses. But yeah, VortiX is now on 2 relics. They're already inserted, so his income's going to be a tiny bit better here. Look at his food income as well. Like, I'm just looking at these graphs. Everything across the board, he's just doing very well, and he's getting ready for the next stage as well. Probably going to be pumping out some of those spearmen just to help in the night battle, but I feel that LucifroN's choice to go Lombos is absolutely the correct one in this case, because he kind of knows about the spearmen, but he has to be very careful about how he goes about this, because there is a window where if these armies clash right here, right now, it is going to be better for VortiX, I say, but it's going to be messy. I like how LucifroN's fighting with his entire army.
Yeah, VortiX is diving into this one. He doesn't have a single blacksmith upgrade, contrary to what LucifroN has, but this is still a beautiful surround. Knights getting good angles on those longbowmen. And as you said, numbers aren't really here for LucifroN. Network of Castles bonus now applying for LucifroN, but it's coming a little too late. Villagers getting caught in the crossfire. Most knights going down here for LucifroN. And the spearmen are just now joining the fun when the longbows are gone. This is a full rout so far. 45 army versus 20 in the favor of VortiX. And now he's not stopping. He's got the Council Hall on the front line as well to replenish his forces with. And VortiX, pedal to the metal, he's just stomping those forces to the ground.
Yeah, what a weird fight for LucifroN to take there. Like, he didn't have the max upgrades on the Lombos. He didn't commit as hard to the Knights as he should have early on. And he's just getting rolled over. And this is the kind of the big wrestler analogy that we had, where VortiX, as soon as he finds a little smidge here, he's just going to lean on you. He had +1 range armor on his Knight, so the Lombo upgrade that LucifroN did have kind of negated, but VortiX does have to be careful that he doesn't outstay his welcome too hard here, but damage is being done, I'm afraid.
Yeah, now it's a mirror. It's just so hard to come back, especially with the barracks being available for VortiX. He's just going to switch into men-at-arms here, and with no knights to deal with that, this could be a nightmare for LucifroN. Not a lot of crossbows, in fact 0 crossbows for him to work with. Even if he had any, they would be picked off by the longbows, and he knows that. Triple the army for quite a while. And now it's a stomp. That one great engagement in the middle, deciding a lot. And VortiX gets back on the board. Once again, it's an even series. And once again, a very quick game over here. Just sub 20 minutes.
Yeah, really nicely done by VortiX. I like, there was a few key points that were really smart. I love the early forward rush on the council hall in the middle, where he did it with like 7 workers. Really kind of put things on his side, and then he had the momentum making LucifroN react to him, or at least play catch up on everything that was going on. Then he got the second TC a little bit earlier. He got the arrow slit with the docks nice and early. So he was the one that just kind of did everything early on to make LucifroN's life uncomfortable. Then he was like, you know what? We're both going to go H3. I'm going to plant down all the stables, gets out lots of knights. Didn't really hold up on that. Like, he knew what he wanted to achieve. And he just kind of outmuscled his bro there. And he did it really nicely. There was no trickery, no shenanigans, no veil to hide behind. He was just bigger, stronger, and faster, and his strategy worked out absolutely beautifully.
Yeah, that military graph tells you the whole story out there. Numbers were relatively even at the beginning of the fight, but such a good engagement for VortiX. Got a beautiful surround on the longbows with the knights, and then from that point on, it was just a full rout. Takes the win in that battle, and takes game number 4 as well. So we're going into game number 5 with an even scoreline. We'll take a look at the draft in a brief moment to see where we're going from here. Based on game number 4, or not just game number 4 necessarily, but based on the first 4 games, do you expect this to go all the way to 7 games? Is this set really that?
Because, you know, you'll see some towers come up in some random location. You're like, oh yeah, that's totally possible there. But yeah, here we do have Holy Island, and this was the reason that I was very surprised that VortiX picked Rus so early on in the series, because this map is so damn good for Rus, so damn good. Like, you can see that those fish, those nice juicy deep sea fish that you gather almost twice as fast as the shoreline fish, They're all very far away, but they're not super... Like, it's not as efficient as it could be. But for Rus, it honestly doesn't matter where they are. Like, they gather the most efficiently anyway. So it's way better for Rus. And the fact that you have the Kremlin, that's a great tower for defense. You have the Kremlin Gremlins available to go and deal damage as well to your opponent. I'm very curious as to what VortiX is going to bring out this game. Because I think you almost have to play Archon just to try and play catch-up and not neglect your biggest strength as a HRE player. But if he does go Mindwalk, which I have seen the bros do now and then, can you do anything with +2 armor Horseman / Spearman early on, or even going for the Knights later on with the +2 armor to everything? Yeah, I'm very curious what VortiX has in store for us.
Yeah, HRE obviously having a strong Dark Age economy as well, so you could definitely afford going a double dock play. One of the few civilizations that can afford to do that, actually. Looks like LucifroN's gonna have a big haul of sheep coming in for him. Good start so far, goes for the dock as usual. As you said, this is gonna be such a tricky game for the HRE, who's just such a brute force civilization. And a lot could come down to how effectively VortiX can deny the water, because one of the big factors we didn't yet mention is that it's not just the fact that the deep fish is so favorable on this map, it's also how plentiful it is. You will not really run out of deep fish for quite a while, so you can saturate that water area with a bunch of fishing ships for a roost and just base your entire food eco on the fish.
Yeah, so VortiX right now, like the way that he kind of set up his workers, I was about to say, it looks like he's going to go for a very fast tech here, which is cool. And you have to respect the fact that Rus can get up a very fast tick and have fast tech and get attack boats in your face very quickly. But there's not just this kind of aspect of the game that you're going to get outgreeded by a Rus player. It's the fact that he can also be in your face very quickly while outgreeding you. So VortiX is absolutely playing around that. So he only had 5 villagers on wood the entire time, and now he's going to be catching up in that gold count. He's had a lot of dudes stay on food as well, which has been necessary to get up that fast tech. But look how quick that Kremlin starts, man. Like, that is so damn fast for LucifroN.
Yeah, that's a fast Kremlin coming in over here. VortiX will be lagging behind a little bit when it comes to fuselage timing. Kremlin being placed on the wood line, so it's going to give that immediate boost to lumberjacking as well. And we do have a single fishing ship being pulled already by LucifroN, so he's going to have a Lodya attack ship ready to fight just when he reaches fuselage. That's the craziest thing, right, about the Rus here. By the time your opponent even starts going up the fuselage, you have a combat vessel out there that's going to harass his fishing eco.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, this was a fast tech up by VortiX that he's doing with 9 workers, by the way. But it just feels so far behind. And that really just goes to show you how good Rus is at doing this. Like, with just 1 fishing boat on deep sea fish, I think you can sustain constant villager production. Like, it's almost, at least. They're really damn good. But when you see this dude just sat here eating your fish right in front of you, it's like, oh, you're going to turn into it very soon, aren't you? And it's like, yeah, I am. But I mean, this does hurt LucifroN's production pretty hard by sending that guy out like that, but it also will hurt your own. Yeah, now we're going to get a little bit crazy here.
Yeah, looks like militias have been popped out by LucifroN. Lodya Galley now being converted, and with that, this is going to idle the fishing eco of VortiX. Looks like the militia are heading towards the gold mine, not the dock itself. And that's just gonna be an added stinger over here. Food eco taking a beating over here for VortiX. Has to send the fishing ships to the shorefish for the time being. We'll have to garrison them as well to avoid losing them. And the gold miners will also be idled for quite a while. Here come the militia. They're about 40 seconds away from expiring, but still, this is gonna be annoying. And you gotta be cautious here not to lose the villager. This time around, VortiX will be able to pull it back. Prelate actually pops out to heal, but still, it's annoying, right?
I mean, it's annoying, but the way that Archon Chapel works, like if you're inspired, you're inspired. That will last for the 30 seconds or whatever it is, whether you're in there or out of there, as long as you did it in the first place. So it was actually quite smart by him to do it like that.
Yep.
Very nice play by VortiX. Is dealing with this relatively well. He didn't have enough wood to actually get out a springald ship or something to deal with this arrow boat, so it's actually causing him a lot of troubles. And the place where his Archon Chapel actually is, I'm kind of looking at in his base. It doesn't look close to his wood, so I'm super surprised. I think LucifroN's going to be onto this. He's just going to go for a burger, man. Like he's not planning on making this a long game. He's not planning on. And you see that LucifroN has clued into it so well that he's like, you know what? Let's shut down that gold. If you want to go burger, you have to do it. And yeah, this is already turning into a very spicy game here between these two.
Absolutely. Marching drills coming in. You can see that at the top right of the screen. VortiX banking up resources there. Concern for him is that LucifroN, as you said, probably caught a glimpse of this. He's harassing that gold mine, makes it a little bit more difficult to access gold and really start spamming out those men-at-arms. Bit of an idle time on the villagers, I do believe, under the town center. Not all of them were able to access sheep. That's going to be fixed just now by VortiX. And as the militia expire, villagers being sent out immediately. Burgrave Palace is being dropped. Marching trails already complete, but no blacksmith just yet for VortiX to get the first range defense upgrade. No fishing eco to speak of. And if you look at LucifroN's resources, he's not super far away from Castle Age. Could you see him getting a competitive Castle Age timing and getting sufficient crossbows out before the men-at-arms arrive?
It's going to be rough. It's going to be really rough. Like, I mean, it is a long map to traverse, but I think he can. Like, these fishing boats, you got to remember, they are absolutely piling it on. He doesn't have to worry about producing knights right now. And he has denied the dock. Actually, the more I think about it, I think he is going to be fine. It is very hard to wall off everything on this kind of map, though. And he's doing such a good job with the militia of slowing down the gold, because that's a big deal as well that we haven't really talked about. This gold denial that keeps on happening is actually going to slow down the amount of men-at-arms that you can get pretty massively. And VortiX, he's broke as a joke going into this Age 3. Like, this is not a wealthy Spaniard here at all.
No, not at all. He's gonna be able to squeeze in defense upgrade, but as you said, a lot of idle time on the villagers. He's just now starting to produce the men-at-arms, but there's the high trade house coming in already for LucifroN. Prepping the ranges, he's gotta go quadruple ranges. First couple of men-at-arms arriving, LucifroN will have sufficient gold bank to pop out at least a couple of crossbows though. So he should be alright dealing with the first couple of men-at-arms, but a lot depends on how many VortiX can come in with the second wave.
Yeah, this is actually really bad for VortiX. Like, I had faith, I had hope for a little bit. I was like, it makes sense, it looks clean, it looks cool. But Roos is so good on this map. Like, LucifroN doesn't even care that he got denied off his gold, because now that high trade house, I think in that kind of position, it's probably getting a good, like, 180, 200 gold in that position. It's very nice. Okay, just 148. Okay. I mean, there was no wolves on the map, of course. Less bounty. But, yeah, now he's got 4 crossbowmen, and he's got water control. This game, all of a sudden, it's as over as it started. Roos is just too good on this map, man. Like, it really is.
It's just looking so bad right now for VortiX. He's down by 12 eco. The resource income per minute looks rather close right now, but that's going to swing very heavily in the favor of the Roos player very soon. Another batch of 4 crossbows out there makes it impossible for the men-at-arms to charge in. And you can see that right now we have more crossbows than men-at-arms, and that's never a scenario you want to be in if you're VortiX, and he knows that. We'll just step out of this one. And as you said, Roos, powerhouse on this civilization. LucifroN has been saving it for this map, and that's going to result in a win. We have a lead once again from LucifroN. Moves on to match point with mountain clearing coming up as possibly the final game of this set.
Yeah, that's just one of those things where you see Holy Island in the map pool, and if Roos isn't in the mix, there's kind of like 3 civs that are all pretty damn good on it, such as China, Hatchery, English. They're all pretty damn close, actually, when it comes down to it. But as soon as you throw Roos into the mix with things, like, the watery work definitely did a lot of things for the game, but it didn't alter the economy of the game. And when you have Roos be as good as they are, with the deep sea fish being far away, it's just... It was Adney that made this map, right? But he's not a Roos main, which is kind of funny. It's made for Roos. It absolutely is in every way, shape, and form. And then with the Kremlin being as powerful as it's been recently, it allows you that safety and that defense early.
Yeah, looks like we have game number 6 coming up here. Malian Mirrors on Mountain Clearing. Right now we're looking at the black screen, but here we go. Once again, score is flipped, so we'll just fix that for you in a brief moment. Right now, it is match point LucifroN in the Golden League 2 semifinals. Both players in command of the Malians on Mountain Clearing. Absolute chaos and madness when you look at this map. And it looks like we're going to have back pit mine coming in here for VortiX. Even though it's suboptimal with the forest being nearby, and the same can be said for the placement of LucifroN, you just simply can't risk placing that pit mine on the gold on the front.
I am so confused by LucifroN's play this game. So confused. Not because it's bad or anything, just he I don't know if he looked at the straggler trees and was like, I don't really like them. But his gold is also very messed up. You see how it's kind of in this little corner here where it's like, all right, we have a stone right next to it, the trees. Until I clear out that stone and those trees, I can't really get full benefit out of this. But yeah, he's going about his tech in a very different way here. And VortiX, he's getting out a lot of dudes on the food very quickly. And I think VortiX is going to have it in mind that he's like, you know what? I'm just going to go for a Saharan network right in the middle. Make my... In fact, do you really want to? It does secure... man, I've got so many ideas about this Saharan network, but maybe it isn't the case that you want to go for the quarry first. I don't know. It does allow you to secure that second gold very nicely, very easily, where you don't have to worry about it. Because there's only how many gold mines are on this map? 6 in total. Like if this did go all the way, which I very much doubt it will, there's not actually enough pit mines for both of them to have enough of them, you know, which it's... Oh, but VortiX is going to do what I talked about. It's going to be a very, very forward Saharan network here.
Well, it's going to be right next to the only sacred site that's available on the map, by the way. VortiX went very heavy on the houses around the pit mine. He's up to 40 population spot right away. Boar being pulled over here by LucifroN. Nice little bait by VortiX, though, pulling it to the north. Re-aggroed by LucifroN. And here we go. The boar being the tool of denial here for this landmark. So annoying. And VortiX is going to have to commit his own scout over here, but that's just tricky as it is. Saharan trade network being delayed, and LucifroN will continue to be a nuisance with this one. Finally, VortiX may get a chance to just take this away, but he might have to lose a lot of scout HP for that. Not happening again. Villager now exposed. He's trying to re-aggro this and taps out. LucifroN wins game number 6 here in a blink of an eye. And that concludes our semifinals, Demu. What a way to end this. 3 minutes, 21 seconds. LucifroN with the boar aggro finishes the game, finishes the set, moves on to the ground.